Alright, so I'm sure you saw the thumbnail, you read the title. This is the Amazon Basics headphone haul. And basically, if you're unfamiliar with Amazon Basics, it's a brand on Amazon that tries to have the lowest prices possible while still having decent quality. Something that's good enough, anyways. And well, I got pretty interested when I saw they had a bunch of different models of headphones available, so I got these 5 to test out and see if they're any good. Or I guess hear if they're any good. Now, the thing to keep in mind here as far as that's concerned is I am looking at things like, comfort, but also when I'm looking at the sound quality or listening for that, I'm mostly talking about, like, how they sound for music. If you want something for gaming, you probably want to get something a bit more specific. And, if you're doing, like, podcasts or audiobooks, I think, these will, probably be fine if they're already good enough for music. That's a pretty low bar. So I am going to do mostly just listening to music is the thing here. They also have microphones on some of these. You'll hear those, but it's not really about the microphones. The other thing I wanted to bring up, though, is that I wanted to do something a little more interesting because I already have too many pairs of headphones, as you're maybe even aware. And so it's easy for me to look at these and be like, who cares? I don't really need this. But I thought it might be interesting to put them up on a head-to-head. So each pair of Amazon Basics headphones will be going up against a pair of headphones that I already own that is somehow comparable in my eyes. And when I say that, I mean I want to at least be kind of fair about this and keep things at least somewhat interesting because... Well, it wouldn't really be fair to bring them up against something like, my AirPods that cost a lot more money, or something like my Sony MDR-7506s that are, studio headphone things and also, again, cost a lot more money. So those are kind of the ground rules I'm putting here. So we'll see which ones win, which ones lose, and ultimately we'll see if between all 5 of these pairs of headphones, if any Amazon Basics headphones are good enough and worth getting for their price. So first up, we have the Amazon Basics wired in-ear earphone earbud things. They do come with, if I can get that out of here, extra pad sizes, so you can, change that if you would like. And I got the great surface I picked to do this recording on. I got the 3.5mm ones. They do have a USB-C version, but I figured they're basically the same other than that connector, so I only got the one. And they do come with a nice little tag, so you can see that this is Amazon Basics, although this might get a little annoying to just have on here at all times, so you might want to take that off. But as far as the earbuds themselves, they're pretty normal, pretty basic stuff. Nothing crazy, nothing to write home about. I will say, take this with a grain of salt, I don't like these kinds of tips, the silicone tips, because these things get into my ears, and I feel like they're just awful. They also collect earwax like nobody's business, but I have to jam them in my head, and I can never get them to stay. I never get a good seal, no matter which size I use, no matter how much I try to angle them or move them around or twist them or turn them or jam them in or let them sit or whatever. They always just kind of work their way out of my head. Oh, they do say left, right on them. I didn't even really notice that was up there because I just took them out and they were in the... Anyways, yeah. So I don't really like this kind of headphone anyway, so that's not really a fair comparison. If you do, these are like $10. So that's actually not a bad price for, this kind of headphones. The sound is actually not bad at all. I really didn't mind how they sounded. When they fit correctly. When they would get off kilter and everything, I would, then the bass would go away. But they have a good amount of bass on them, and then, the quality is fine. It's not like high quality audio you're getting out of here, but it is fine and totally serviceable. I think if you were gonna, just grab some, earbuds or whatever, you could do worse. However, for the competition, I decided to put them up against my, Sony MDR-E9LP. Rolls off the tongue. And these actually right now are like $7. Get these out of here. And these ones, I guess I don't know how much this matters, but they have the plug. Same kind of plug, but it's an angled plug versus the straight plug, so you got that. They obviously look more fancy. You can get these in black as well, although As of looking right now, the black ones are like $8 instead of these ones that are like translucent and blue and all cool. And these are like $7. So I don't know why that is. And the big difference with these, you'll notice style-wise, is these have like this kind of like felt foam stuff on here. This, not as bad. It doesn't go into your ear. It just kind of sits. It's like that half in ear, sits on the shelf of your ear kind of thing. You can take these off and just have like the hard plastic if you want. I prefer that style. So I will say that these are definitely more comfortable for me personally, but your mileage may vary. However, I was kind of surprised with the sound. And I remember these being really clear, but then I listened to the sound this time, and comparing them to the Amazon ones, I was like, wow. Actually, when they fit right, the Amazon ones actually sound better than the Sony ones. Like, just the clarity and, like, the higher stuff just sounds a little better. These sound a little lower quality, and that was surprising to me. And obviously you get more bass out of these because they create a seal, so when you have that happen, you get bass. Whereas these just have none. They both are going to end up as like in a knot in your pocket because they're wired, I guess. There is that, but really what I would ultimately say about these two, though, is that if you're looking to get one of these, if you don't mind the styles on them, I would say that generally these are probably going to be better for most people. There's not a big price difference. But with the sound being better, I think you'll just like that more, especially with the bass. Whereas the Sony ones, I would probably keep just because they're more consistent, because they don't fall out of my head like these. Eventually will work their way out of my ears, regardless. Whereas these actually stay in, and they're fairly comfortable when they're in there. They're not like pushing earwax and stuff in my ear. So these are definitely where I'm going to keep them, even though they don't sound quite as good. But I also realize I have a different use case, and that I barely use them at all anyways. So, I mean, if you are going to use stuff a lot, you probably want to go better than either of these. But hey, if you're just looking for some cheap earbuds, like anything will probably do. If you're looking at Amazon Basics and thinking, are these good enough? Yeah, they probably are. Oh no, I just found out that these also have a microphone in them. In here. So the microphone of these, I guess, sounds like this. This is just the audio off of the Amazon Basics in-ear headphones, earbuds, whatever you want to call them. They sound, I guess, like this, if that matters to you. Alright, next up we have the Amazon Basics True Wireless earbuds. None of that fake wireless stuff here. And here you get the little manual. You also get some extra tips, which is always nice. And then you get the case out of the box, get this out of the way. So the case here, not a lot to see or not a lot to say. I mean, you plug it in on the back there, and that's, it's got a flat bottom, so you could stand it up if you want. I don't know why you would want that, but you can do that. It's fine. It's nothing to sneeze at. It's not real heavy. It's not real big either. And it's really very smooth, so it is actually pretty easy. I did put this in my pocket and test that out. It is very easy to just keep, in your pocket and use that way. So, it is very nice for that. The hinge thing feels very cheap. I'm worried that's gonna break. Just doesn't feel very good. But the actual buds themselves, they're like this, and also they're very slippery. I dropped them in the other time I tried to do this shot. But these are, kind of going for this sort of AirPod looking stem style thing with the smoothness, but they have the tips on them like other kind of like a pros would, I guess. I already mentioned I don't really like the silicone tip things because they jam in my ear, they mess with my earwax, they're not comfortable for me, and they always work their way out of my head, don't like them. But as far as those kinds of headphones go, these are not bad ones of them. Actually, I don't know if you can see here as well, they also have left and right labeled on the little stems there. The light's probably going to make that a little hard to even see, but they say it, trust me. Just believe me, why would I lie? They're, as far as like, the feel is fine, they stay in alright. They still do work their way out of my head, so it's not perfect, but at least they're better than some other ones I've had, and more comfortable than other ones I've had that feel really just intrusive to have in there. So they've got that going for them, as well as like sound-wise, these things are, they're fine. They're actually probably better than the probably better than the wired ones, surprisingly. They have a good amount of bass to them, and they have some top end. It's the V sound, that classic V sound thing. So the mids are not really there, but what you get to hear is just, it's fun, and it sounds good enough, especially since they're like, this wireless option. Oh yeah, they do have the weird thing where it is annoying that they have touch things on the side. So like, if you ever just touch the stems, you want to adjust it at this like round point. You don't want to adjust it at the stems in your ears. That's annoying, as well as like, you tap once on one side to like change the volume up, and double tap to change it down. And then on the other side, it's like, oh, you tap here once to go next track. You double tap it to go back a track. You think they would have those functions as like one tap on each side and then two taps on each side, or like the opposite thing of each other. I don't know why they chose to do it this way. That's a weird decision they made. The microphone sounds like this. Alright, so this should be the audio for the Amazon Basics wireless in-ear earbud things, and what it sounds like when you talk into it. And so this whole package is about $21 right now on Amazon to get these things, whereas I compared them to my SoundPEATS Engine 4 earbud things, and in this box, a similar kind of affair, though it doesn't always like to come out super cleanly. You got well, you had a booklet up here that always gets stuck in the top. That's always good. We have the thing we'll look at in a second here if it comes out. It came out. And then you get, and down here they have this little thing here, which is also kind of labeled as well. Down there, and this cable, and the extra ear pad things, which I have tried. This case is pretty similar. You probably see it's not like that different. It means like size-wise, shape-wise, it's a little different. This has like less corners on it there, and it's like, I think it's maybe, the SoundPEATS one is a little bit thicker, I think. It's got stuff on the bottom to plug in, and like a sync button and stuff. The light's down there on it, I guess. But like the actual size and feel and everything, like these fit in the pocket about the same and everything. Once it's in there, you don't really notice that they're that different. This one stands up though, and this one doesn't. But you open it, definitely opens a lot better. Feels way nicer the way it opens. So that's nice. It's a nicer feeling hinge. So I have a little more confidence in that hinge than on the Amazon Basics ones. These ones are a little harder to see, especially if my camera doesn't want to focus on it. It's hard to see like the left and right things on here, but they are on there. They're just kind of hard for me and my colorblind eyes probably also to see. But they do exist on there somewhere, I think. I can't see it on my camera preview right now, but they're there, I believe it. And what's really nice about these, is just that, like, the edges on them here, I like that you have all this area to hold on to adjust them in your ears, because the touch part is out here, on the shiny side. So, yeah, if my camera will focus on that either. That's the touch part. There we go. So that works pretty well. But they still have the same problem with the silicone tips. Same issues. Tried all the different tip sizes. I tried all these different angles of putting them in my head. Putting them in, twisting them, turning them, whatever. Putting them deeper, putting them in less deep. Just, I can't get them to fit well no matter what I do. No matter what size I use. So it's just a me thing. And, okay, so the comfort of these is just definitely worse, though. Because they're just... The hard part of this, like, molding around here, instead of being nice and curved, is more flat, and it just, like, digs into my ear when I do get them in deeper. And I also find that these, the SoundPEATS work their way out of my ear even more so than the Amazon Basics ones. So I end up, like, fiddling with these a lot more than these. And these are also just less comfortable when they're there than these. So these are just worse in that regard. However, the sound, very important, the sound. Now, because these get loose more, the sound is less consistent than these. However, once they're in, if you judge the sound by when they're in and fitting properly, and, the sound is the way it's supposed to be, which is where probably most people don't have the same problems that I do there, so that's probably what's more important. The SoundPEATS sound much better. There's even more bass. The highs are still there, but especially in the mids, there's like they exist for one thing, but there's more detail in the sound as well. Just the things you do hear, there's more detail to the things you're actually picking up in those frequencies. So they definitely sound a good amount better. The price of the Amazon Basics ones, keep in mind, are about $21 right now. However, the SoundPEATS Engine 4, your price may vary. They're discontinued, so they don't really sell them anymore. So you'd have to find like old stock, or you probably don't want used pairs with ear tips like this, but like, something like that. They used to be around $50, like when I got them. That was kind of the price they hovered around. So I would assume they'd be around that, or maybe a bit less. It depends. I just went looking up the prices now, and I just couldn't find any. There's like, yeah, they don't sell them. So you probably won't even get these anyways to think about them, but for my comparison of keeping these and not keeping these and whatever, like, I don't know. For you, yeah, I think if you're looking for, like, an upgrade, well, I guess you can't really get the SoundPEATS because it'll be hard to find them. So while they're a step up from the cheap seats, they're not really, available, so that's probably not even worth your time. But maybe you'll find something that is similar. However, the Amazon Basics ones, if you're wondering, are these, like, worth getting? I do think these are worth getting. For $21, these are really good, like, starter level. Are these going to be good enough? Yeah, they will be. If you find those, you can get them, and they'll sound fine. And if you like them a lot, you're like, I'm actually using my wireless earbuds a lot. Well, you can actually spend a bit more money and get a better pair that has better features for things that you want beyond this. But this is a great starting point. And actually, for me, as much as I lean towards these because they're more comfortable and less of a pain in the ass, the reality is I have AirPods, so I'm just gonna use my AirPods. If my AirPods break, I'm probably just gonna buy more AirPods. I'm not gonna like go to one of these instead. So, interesting to look at, I guess. But I think it is. That's kind of where I land on those two things. All right. Next up, we have the Amazon Basics wired headset for the computer, on-ear, wired on here, whatever. So they're on-ears, yeah, they got the mic there. I kind of like the detail on these things. They have like the cube kind of design thing here. It's a little subdued, but it's stylish. Got padding up in the headband. They actually label left and right inside of the ear cups, which is nice. And you can see they swivel, so they do that. Also, they do have, it's a 3.5 millimeter connection, but it also comes with this little dongle thing, so you can plug it into here, and then have it go into USB to give you an inline mic, and with a mute switch, which is kind of handy, I guess. Just say inline mic, inline controls with a mute switch, and yeah, you can use that to plug into your computer, I guess. But I found that when I plugged this in, the audio did this really weird thing where it was like pitch bending. So I'm guessing it's this cable, because when I plugged it in directly, it didn't do that. So maybe don't use this part of it at all. But the actual headphones themselves definitely sounded better. They are actually a decent sound. They're clear. They're probably a bit too bassy. I mean, they're not like the highest quality in the highs either. They're not very detailed sound, I guess. Maybe clear is the wrong word for it. You can hear things in them, and I think that your experience is kind of enhanced by the fact that they are larger drivers to drive audio. So yes, you are getting better bass. You are getting just louder sound than some of these other offerings, but that does come at the cost of they're just a bit too bassy. Not the highest quality sound for that. Also, comfort isn't amazing with these, but that's just because I wear glasses, so on-ears will put the pressure on my ear that will pinch my ear between my glasses and these. They don't feel particularly solid either. They're kind of wobbly. It's not going to be really durable, probably. I imagine these will break fairly easily. And also because of this amount of wobble and the swivel, I noticed that, head banging, up and down, totally fine. Head banging your head side to side, these wanted to fall off. So I guess that's good that they don't have tons of clamping force, but also that means that it's easier for them to fall off of your head if you're going to be rocking out in them. The microphone sounds like this. This is just a test of the Amazon Basics wired on-ear headset and the mic on there, and what that would sound like if you talk into it like normal, like so. So, to go up against the Amazon Basics ones here, I decided to pick my Sony MDR-ZX310AP headphones, which I guess also have an inline mic if you care about that. Comparatively, the inline mic is probably a worse positioning than you're going to have for something like this that you can move around. But also, if you just want to use them as headphones, you can't move this mic really out of your vision, out of your peripheral. It just has to be there. These like fold up into this, so they kind of like fold out. So, you know, that's, I mean, I guess if you care about that, there's that aspect of it. If you don't care about that, well, then you, I guess it doesn't matter. Where this only has one cable coming out of one side, and this has a cable coming out of each side, and the Sony one has like an angle plug on it, but the Amazon one only has a straight plug on it, which also probably doesn't really matter to most people. I think the Sony ones don't look as nice. This is a neat look with like the blue and like that thing there, but I don't think it looks as like fancy. It doesn't look as like nice as like the finish on like little like cube things on here. So there's that. No padding in the headband on the Sony ones. They don't have the same, like, you know, they're very rattly. Like I said, neither one of these is going to be like very durable. They're probably easy to break. I feel like that folding is probably the breaking point on these. People have complained that that's a problem they've had. And also, like, the padding, they don't say the left, right, and the ear cup. You have to go to the back and find it, like, on the edge of, am I already on the back? You have to find it on the actual, like, headphone thing. So yeah, you get a left over here. And actually you don't get a right for some reason. So that's the only indicator. Not that that's a big deal. You can eventually figure that out. But they don't have as much padding. They have padding, but it's, like, definitely not as cushioned. It's definitely a more shallow padding. And they have, you know, similar issues where these don't, like, I guess they don't clamp quite as hard as these, but that's probably down to the padding. But, like, I don't know, comfort-wise, I definitely prefer the Sonys, even though they don't have the extra padding up here and extra padding here. They're just lighter, so they just feel better, and they don't have the same feeling of, like, they're going to fall off my head if I'm moving my head around. So I think they kind of win in that department. However, the thing is, the sound is the big thing, right? And as far as sound goes, the Amazon Basics ones are definitely better. And the reason I say that, I think, is because, well, like, they're both pretty bassy. I think the Sony ones are a little less bassy, but maybe not by a lot. And, like, I don't know. The highs are kind of the problem here, because, like, mids, neither one does amazing in mids either. Again, they're kind of chasing the fun V sound kind of thing. But when you get into the higher stuff too, like, the higher is a little low in both, but in the mids where you should have, you know, detail, you kind of just have less detail and more, like, it sounds cheap on the Sonys versus the Amazon Basics ones. The sound is just definitely better. Like, even if, like, unless you, like, really hate the exaggerated bass, I think you're gonna prefer these probably, for the most part. And that's kind of a thing I guess I would recommend. It's very, very close. Definitely very close here, because it's not like these are hugely different. Like, price-wise even, the Amazon Basics headset thing is only like $18. And, well, I did find the Sonys. You can get the Sony ones in black for like $20. If you want the blue ones right now, they're $22. So they're a little bit more expensive to sound a little bit worse and, you know, have less padding, and I don't know. They both are very cheap, but I feel like if you're spending this small amount of money, these just seem like a much better value, much better bang for your buck. So I would recommend getting the Amazon Basics, actually. However, for myself, and that's probably weird, but for myself, I'm gonna keep the Sonys over this, and mostly because these are just kind of a throwback, nostalgic thing. They're more comfortable too, to me, which I like, but mostly for this throwback thing too, of, like, they're a fun sound. They remind me of having a Walkman and, like, putting this on and listening to my music through headphones probably worse than this. So they kind of give me that kind of like sound feel that I want from like for the nostalgia. But I wouldn't really recommend that for people who, you know, didn't have like a CD playing Walkman like with headphones like this before. Most people should probably just get these and enjoy the better sound that you can get. All right, so here we've got the Amazon Basics wireless on-ear headphones. You have a similar kind of like look on the little ear cups here going on. Little like pattern and stuff. They have padding up here, which is nice. They got padding in the ear cups down here, and it's all reasonably, you know, squishy and comfortable and whatnot. They actually fold in to each other like this, so you can make them, I guess, slightly more portable if that matters to you. They don't feel particularly durable, you know, a little durability wise, but if you don't go shaking around like that, they're probably okay. You'll also notice on the other side here, we got left and right labeled in the cups. Very easy to see. I like that. Very good. A weird thing over here is that they have like on this cup, you can see they have like this thing for a like a hardwire it basically. If you put an audio cable through there, you can make them wired, I guess. But they didn't come with that, so I didn't think it would be fair to use that. Also, they have to charge through this thing, so you have to have it like kind of out like this to charge for some reason. I don't know why that is. But I like the physical buttons on here. I like that in general on headphones instead of having touch things. They have like a physical power button down here, over here. And then these buttons I like because they're just like have a bit of a dip to them. I don't know if you can really tell super well on camera there. There's like a bit of a dip going on. So like in the middle you can tell you're hitting like the play pause kind of thing, and then these are like the plus minus things are around it. I do think that's a really good design, and overall the sound of these things is pretty decent. They're actually a bit more mellow and rounded than the other Amazon Basics headphones, which I think is good. It's still kind of a V sound, you know. It's still got the up bump and bass and a bit bumping of a top end. They have a bump on both of those, but they do sound decently like good. Especially for, these are like $32 full price. That's if they're not on sale. So I do think that's pretty compelling. It also is weird, I was going to quickly mention too, the fact that these, while they are available, they're kind of also under the same listing as the wired headset, even though they sound noticeably different. So I don't know why that is necessarily. I guess it does have a microphone though, which sounds like this. This is the sound of the Amazon Basics wireless on-ear headphones. This is what you sound like if you just talk while they're on your head, wherever the mic on it may be. So these went up against the Sony WH-CH520s. And this was really close. I couldn't believe how close this was. Wow, this was impressively tough. So right off the bat, I guess we can say the first thing you're going to notice is that these are going to come in a variety of colors that Sony will offer you. Not that they're amazing colors, but they might blend with your setup more, give you a little pop of color and style, whereas Amazon Basics are you get this or you get nothing. They have a similar thing with padding on the top, padding in the cups, though I do think the comfort is actually better on the Sony ones. The padding's a little softer. Also this, like, they fit, they're a bit bigger holes here, I think, so they fit better. For my ears anyways, they kind of cradled them a bit better. Though they don't label the left and right in there. You have to look like on the band here, and it's like left is on this. So that's not the most amazing thing. I don't even know if you can see it with my lighting set up there, but it does say it there. Believe me, trust me, believe me. I do think, yeah, they're more comfortable because of the padding and the way my ears fit in them, and the fact that they don't like flop around as much when you, like, you know, these definitely feel a bit more durable. That's also the case too if you're like moving your head around and things. These stay on pretty well, whereas these you'll feel them like kind of moving around while you move them on your head. So I give them some points for structural integrity as well. Though I will say that for these like controls here, I think the controls are slightly worse. Again, they are still buttons, which I like, but they're just harder to tell. Like, there's the pip on the middle thing here, but if you gotta kind of find that and be able to tell that that's what you're hitting, there's also a little like dot on the plus button.
and that's okay, but it's not the greatest. And they also don't have a dedicated power button, so you have to like hold power to like whatever this thing to like turn it on, turn it off. If you hold it too long, it'll go into the pairing mode. So having one more button would have been nice. No way to directly connect your audio either for wired usage either, so I guess, there's that to consider. But you can plug it in and charge it without having it weirdly angled, so there's that. They also only swivel, they don't fold in on themselves at all, so they have to be this big pretty much at all times. However, the thing is, the big thing that you're going to be wondering about, of course, is the sound, right? And the sound is also a lot closer than you'd think, because, like, they're different. I don't think either one is notably better than the other. It depends on what you're listening to. So, essentially, the Amazon Basics headphones are a bit more of a V sound, like I mentioned. They still have more bass and treble, and the mids kind of go away. Whereas with the Sony headphones, they're definitely more detail. I can tell that you can hear more things going on in these versus these. However, I feel like the mids are almost a bit more like... they're too loud sometimes. The mids are a little overpowering at times. I think the bass is more mellow and the top end isn't quite as bright. So, like, things aren't going to have, like, the same kind of, like, punch and sparkle on these, but they will just have better detail. So, do you want them to be more fun, bit punchier in the bass, bit sparklier on the top end? Or do you want them to feel more rounded and just hear more of the sounds going on? That's kind of pick your poison, and again, depending on what you listen to, either one could be a good choice. Also, very minor things, I will say as well. I feel like these connect slightly faster than these. And it's very clear when these are connected because there's a voice that says it's like power on and it's connected, whereas like this just does like a chime and then it like tells you like how much battery it still has, which I've used this for how many hours and it still says 100%. This, I have no idea, it doesn't tell me, but I guess it doesn't have to. It's probably fine. I wasn't really putting these up on a head-to-head for like how awesome is the battery life, because I'm sure they're both going to be good enough. They don't have noise cancellation or anything on them to really chew through that battery, so they're not doing anything too crazy in that department. I also will admit that these Sony ones do come with like an app that you can download. They like prompt you to download their Sony Sound Connect app, so you can tailor your sound even more on these if you want to do that. But I also felt like, similarly, where this didn't really come with a cable to plug it in wired-wise, I feel like using the app for this also wouldn't be fair, because you should just use these out of the box. What do they sound like? Honestly, I didn't think the tweaking of the sound on these sounded really any better than the default stock sound. It probably was pretty good the way they tuned it out of the box. Anyway, so, with that in mind, the only other thing I didn't quite mention yet is the price on these. And the thing is, the price of these full price are $70. So they're like over twice the price of these. And they do not sound twice the price of those. The comfort is nice, the build quality is nice, and I do prefer the sound of these a little bit over these. But, I mean, yeah, they both pinch my ears because they're on-ears and they're both like, not amazing sounding, because they are still Bluetooth headphones that are in the budget range. I think that the clear winner here is probably still the Amazon Basics ones for anybody else. Like, I am going to keep my Sonys, I'll admit that, but that's because, number one, I already bought them. Number two, I do slightly prefer their sound. Number three, I do prefer their comfort, for sure. I like their look, and I also will say that, to be fair, these go on sale for, like, $30, $40 sometimes. They can get down there in price. So while they don't get as low in price as the Amazon Basics ones do on sale, I think that if you're looking at, $20 to $30 for Amazon Basics ones versus like $30 to $40 for the Sony ones, it's a lot more appealing then to maybe consider the Sonys. But again, that depends on if you want to do certain things over the other. It is just very, very close. I am just shocked at how many of these things have been so close. And these, man, they are so similar. If you weren't A/B testing these back to back, you probably would not even care which one that you had, because that's what I had to do. When I put these on, I thought like these are going to sound like the same. When I had to do them back to back with multiple songs to be like, okay, so these do sound a little different, but not a lot. So either one is definitely a good choice. I'll just add the quick correction at the end of this little section here. I just realized I looked up the wrong headphones for these. So these ones actually are $26 right now, like full price. So I guess if these go on sale, they'd probably be perhaps even lower. So they factor that in, but these were not the $32 ones. These were actually 26. I'll just throw this in and we'll pretend that I don't have to redo the entire thing. Good? Thanks.
All right, so now we've got these. These are the Amazon Basics wireless on-ear headphones. You see they have the same kind of little cube design things going on there on the ear cups. Got a nice amount of padding here. I'll also show like the inside of the ear cups quick. The left and right, still labeled. Always important. But like, yeah, they're very comfortable. I feel like they have because these go around the ears, nice and padded. It feels really nice to actually use these. So they also stay on a bit better because they're being held in by your ears. So that's nice. They're still a little on the wobbly side, so I don't think they're going to be super durable or anything. So I wouldn't like count on that. But they don't shake terribly when they're on your head or anything. Once again, they also have these little controls and stuff on the bottom here, or I guess along the ear cup. They do have a spot to plug in for the charging. You don't have to have it weird behind the ear cup thing. They do have a cable spot here to plug in the actual just audio cable if you want to do that directly instead of having it wireless through Bluetooth. They still have the nice little control nubs down here. I think those feel good. They also have this nice like power button over here. It's a little more shallow on there versus the A and C button because yes, this also has active noise canceling. Well, I guess we should talk about that, right? So the active noise canceling has basically 3 modes. One of those is off. But the thing is, when you have it on, it does a little bit. Basically, the noise cancellation is kind of like if there's like an air conditioner running, or if there's a refrigerator is making noise, or you're a fan, any kind of like low level white noise, it'll get rid of that or at least reduce it. Anything else, it basically doesn't do anything at all, which is not a terrible loss, I guess. It's again better than anything else you're probably going to find in this price range. I'm not expecting it to do for this budget price to do wonders and be a bunch of really crazy super active technical stuff with all the sound around it the way it analyzes it, because like I think you do see like it has like uses these like mics on the ear cups there, if they're even going to show up, but there's like these 2 little spots here and over here. I don't know how well that's really going to show up on the camera, but they do have little mic holes there. There's that. There's also the transparency mode, which also uses those microphones, and that uses that to like send audio into the headphones so you can hear stuff around you. The problem with that is that, well, number one, it definitely doesn't sound natural. It does sound like you're hearing a microphone recording audio and sending it to you into the headphones, which is fine for functionality's sake, at least. You can still, you'd still be able to use it. However, the other issue is that it's just kind of quiet. If you could change that volume, it would be nice, or if it just was louder, but it's not. So, like, you do that, and it's like... you have to turn your music way down to like hear stuff over the music, which is annoying at that point. It's like, I don't know, you might as well just be listening to music quieter anyways, because you'll be able to hear it. Because how much of that is getting through from the microphones versus just getting through, because I mean, yeah, they do have an okay amount of like passive noise cancellation because they're closed backs and they're around your ears, but I don't know. So like that could be a bit better. You're better off just leaving the active noise cancellation off and just getting a little bit of extra battery life for that, I think. That's what I would recommend, especially because, like, with it on, I'll also say that the only time you're going to really benefit from that is if you listen to music that does have, like, soft parts in it that you want to be able to hear. So if you're listening to stuff that's just kind of consistent in volume, if it's loud enough, you'll cut out that white noise anyways from around you, so it doesn't really matter. I do like that the ANC doesn't require like an app or anything either, though. Like you just put these on and listen to it, and when you push the button, it tells you with a voice like what it's doing. So it'll tell you when it's on, when it's connected, it'll tell you when it's powering off, it'll tell you when you're going to ANC or transparency or ANC off. It'll tell you that, so that's good. As far as the actual sound of these, well, they're, I think, the best sounding out of all of the Amazon Basics headphones so far, which is not that surprising. Maybe a little because they're wireless, but yeah, I think that they sound pretty good especially for cheap headphones. But the sound is very much a V-shaped sound. It's a kind of a narrow sound is kind of how I describe it. I mean, I know they're stereo headphones, they're not like open backs or something with soundstage, but like essentially, I think it's because they have like definitely a boost on the bass with their V sound and a boost on the treble. It's not like super harsh on the high end, a little bit at times. But the bass is interesting because it's mostly like the low end rumble stuff. It's like pretty low, lower than like some of the other ones we listen to. So you'll definitely feel the bass more than it like boosts the sound necessarily of it most of the time. And I think it's a little more pleasing that way. It doesn't feel like, you know, too overly bassy or overpowering. Just when something does take advantage of the really rumbly bass, you'll definitely notice that more here. But yeah, because the mids are just kind of squashed down so far too, and everything feels so close because the bass is powerful and the treble is powerful, it's kind of I don't know, depending on what you listen to, sometimes stuff does sound a little I don't know if I want to say cheap, because there's a decent amount of detail in it, what you do hear, so it doesn't sound like muddy or like anything like that, but it's yeah, I don't know. It's just something about it. Like it's a different sound style. It definitely you can hear some of the dynamic sound of it, but it's like just so narrow that you're not getting like, you know, a huge benefit from that dynamic lows and highs being in there. But definitely not bad. I definitely liked listening to stuff on here. It also comes with a cable. So it did come with the aux cable. You just plug that into the little spot there. And the thing is, you might think, oh, maybe that'll make it sound even better, right? Just plug that in, and there you go. It'll be great. Problem with this is that it doesn't. It's like, oh, don't wired things just sound better than wireless ones? Sort of, but not necessarily. So, like, in general, yes, usually wired headphones are going to sound better than wireless headphones. That is true. The problem is, these are designed to be wireless headphones, and so essentially all of the nice like encoding, decoding, whatever stuff they have to do, the sound chip stuff is all in here. When you plug in the aux cable, it actually powers these off, so you don't get any active noise canceling, and you don't get any of the fancy, you know, tuning and everything that it has with this, and it just goes back to whatever these sounded like right out of the box before they did any of that fancy stuff to it. Which means that, yeah, they definitely actually sound worse. They need that enhancement on here that they did after the fact to make them sound good. It's not really the, you know, it's not really the headphones that sound good themselves, which is definitely a bummer. I mean, it is nice that, you know, once the battery eventually does totally die, or just when you know, run out of battery, these aren't going to be like, oh, I can't listen to anything anymore. You can plug them in, keep listening to them. They're not like, throw them away once the battery is like totally fried, but the sound with the cable in is definitely much more flat, and it sounds less detailed as well. It just sounds pretty rough. At this point, you can probably find better just actually wired headphones than this, and so, you know, it's nice for the flexibility, but I wouldn't recommend actually doing it because it doesn't end up sounding very good. But I appreciate that they did that. I also, I guess we'll just quickly mention that, yes, these also have a microphone which sounds like this. This is the sound of the Amazon Basics wireless over-ear headphones with active noise canceling. So this is what it sounds like when you're talking into it and the window is open. So if you hear any birds chirping, that was the birds and not me. And these cost, I keep saying this in this price point, you know, whatever, right? These cost $32. These are the $32 ones, full price. So they could go on sale for more, but that's the asking price for them. And for the competitor here, this was difficult because I wanted to both try and be fair with things like, obviously I'm not going to put up, crazy headphones against this, but like price point wise, design wise kind of, but I don't really have quite this style of headphone. So this comparison was tough. But I selected the Onitoon X25 headset. And I have to grab the box quick because I didn't put it next to me because I'm an idiot. You might also call it the Onikuma headset because that sticker was over it. So when I peeled the sticker off, that was the cheap way they went around that. But you can find it under either name, I guess. Well, yeah. Again, I did this because of the price point. Partly, I would think I got it for around $30. Looking at it now, it's around $20 to $32, depending on where you find it, even though it's the exact same headset. And when I say this, these are listings on Amazon. I looked at all the listings on Amazon itself to see, because that's where you would get these. So I'm like, well, how much do these go for? And it's like, for some reason, 2 different listings for the same thing. But, yeah, they're at least over-ear headphones. They are wired. And they don't have any wireless capabilities. They have they do have this split on it though, so you can do headphone and microphone separately if you want. They've also got this little thing that comes off, so you can just do it all in the combo jack if you would prefer. So that's an option, and they also have this USB thing, which is not actually for connecting with the audio parts. That's just for the RGB. 1 second, please. Ta-da! I mean, it's probably a little hard to see with the lights on, but even with the lights on, it doesn't look too shabby there. If I turn this one off for a second. Like, yeah, see that? Pretty cool, huh? Pretty neat. I think it looks pretty good. Probably looks better in person than it does on camera, but even that looks pretty good. I'm surprised at how nice the RGB on these look, and they have the cat ears. So those are removable if you'd rather not have the cat ears. You can just have them with just the tubes if you'd rather. So you have options. You have a little bit on the microphone there. So it is, yeah, it's a headset. And I think comfort-wise, they're pretty close. I think that this probably wobbles a bit. Well, I don't know. I think this maybe, they wobble similarly on your head. The actual stability of this feels a little bit less cheap, but that's probably just because of the way it's connected with the rest of the headset, I guess. They're, again, pretty comparable in that build quality as well, I feel like. But I definitely think the style and the aesthetic of this far surpasses that of the Amazon Basics one, which also I didn't show that off, did I? It says Amazon Basics in the little strap thing here. I don't know if you can see that. You probably can't because of my lighting setup, but it says it across here. But yeah, whereas this just has a weird logo on it. This has a self-adjusting headband. I will say these are probably more comfortable, would have been more comfortable for me if they had fit properly, but I had them, like, they're slightly too big for me, and I couldn't adjust them up anymore, so that's a thing. Oh yeah, I forgot to say these also fold up, sort of. Not that you will ever need to use this, but you could, I guess, and make it slightly smaller. Whereas, these don't fold at all, so there's here. I mean, yeah, I don't know. Comfort is pretty similar, fit's pretty similar, durability is pretty similar. So in those ways, they're similar, and also the fact that, like, I would probably only wear these at home. I wouldn't, like, go traveling with either of these sets of headphones because they're just big on-ear things. But I guess you could if you had something to connect them to. I'm not really comparing them as, like, headsets or anything either. I wanted to be kind of fair. And the fairest comparison I can give, I think, as well, is to bring it down to just the sound, particularly with the music, listening to that. What is the sound like? And the sound on the Onitoon headphones is, well, just not as good. It's simply, I mean, it is a wired headset. It is still not as good. It just sounds kind of cheap. It's definitely more flat and balanced. In fact, it probably sounds a little better than the Amazon Basics ones when they're wired, because they sound pretty bad, but not by a lot. And the thing is, these are only ever going to be wired. They were wired out of the box. That's what they're supposed to sound like, I guess. So, like, the whole thing with the sound is that, yeah, it's a bit more even, so it's not like crazy bass or crazy highs or anything. So nothing's gonna be like a too bassy, but nothing's gonna be too harsh. But also the downside is that everything sounds kind of low quality. Like there's a weird like kind of muffled sound, like a filter or something is over everything. It just sounds kind of bad. No cancellation on here, no noise cancellation. It's all just passive that it would do, and it probably does similar amount of noise cancellation for passive noise cancellation between the two. So really this thing is just living and dying off of its aesthetic, which it does. Again, it's okay audio for $30. You could still get better, but like with the actual style of it too, that's what it's living and dying on. And that's, I don't know, I guess, like I say, it's not a very good comparison, but it was the best I could do that was fair and relatively close. And I would absolutely say the Amazon ones are the winner there. They just, I mean, as good as these look, if you're going to be streaming or something, yeah, those are going to be a great thing to wear to look cool. But for actual sound and just listening to music, Amazon Basics definitely blow these out of the water pretty easily. It's pretty night and day when you're listening to them. So that was a bigger difference than I thought it was going to be. I will quickly add here, though, as well, that there are a couple other things I wanted to say about these. So, one second. Well, we also have the other, like, on-ear headphones from Amazon Basics. You can definitely tell here. Oh, this one actually, does it say it on the headband as well? Yeah, it does. The headband thing says Amazon Basics on it. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that thing you can't see because of the angle and the lighting. It says it on there, though, too. Promise it does. Trust me. Yeah, you can see these are actually smaller. So these are actually on ears. Even though these don't look that much bigger, they do go over your ears. Maybe if you have big ears, they won't, but mine they did, and that made them more comfortable. All that good stuff. I wear glasses. You've heard it 5 times by now. But yeah, these are definitely much better than these for comfort and for the sound, and just it is kind of crazy how different these can be. So there is that. But like I said before, I have these, and these were my closest ones, the Sony ones for this, to being like, yeah, this is probably a closer comparison to this, even though this is still way cheaper. So if you get this on sale, it might be close to this full price, right? And the thing is, I think I might keep these over these. I'm going to keep the Amazon Basics ones over my Sony ones, even though I like the way these look. It's just that the level of comfort here is better, and while I think that, like, I like the tuning of the Sony ones more, I think I just overall like the detail of these even more than these. And if it's something I'm just going to be using every now and then, where I'm just wearing it to, like, have wireless headphones that still are around my ears and sound good, these have a better chance of me actually using them than the Sony ones. That's kind of surprising to me. So I didn't really expect these to be, you know, kind of the best of the best, the cream of the crop of the Amazon Basics bunch. But it ended up doing that, and that was actually pretty cool. So I don't know. That's a surprise to me. So what we have here is we got ourselves a pile of winners and a pile of losers. And I think regardless of how you might feel about how this turned out, I'm actually mostly really surprised that this was as good as it was. I didn't think that Amazon Basics was going to be coming in with this much quality. Not that they're going to outdo, you know, anything amazing. It's like, if you want to get something that's more of an upgrade, you know, or is going to be decent and reliable, you probably do want to be looking at maybe some other budget models, either from like some surprise hits here and there for some, you know, lesser known companies, or, you know, some of the big names, people who are actually, you know, proudly putting their name on audio products that do it for, like, their main business, and it's not just like a side thing. Because that's another thing I wanted to bring up, is that I did a vague little bit about a bit of research for this about the Amazon Basics brand, and I found out that, like, essentially this isn't like, you know, like a Fire device or something like that, right, where Amazon has more of a hand in how that is being made and everything. The Amazon Basics brand is basically just taking white label products and putting their name on it. And that means that essentially someone else makes these, and they they just kind of, you know, Amazon's like, we'll pay you to put our stuff on it. So that also can make this kind of tough, because while I want to say, yeah, Amazon Basics is definitely good enough for you looking to do starter stuff. You're looking for, like, I don't know, I want to get, you know, my first pair of headphones in whatever style. They got you covered. The thing is, I can't guarantee that, you know, with the price and everything and the quality in the future, depending on when you see this video, because things could change with suppliers and all that, right? They could, you know, there could be an increase in, like, shipping costs or components or something, and it makes them more expensive. Maybe they change the parts to them, and the thing you get is different than the thing that I bought. It's also possible that they'll switch to different manufacturer for similar reasons and use their stuff instead and just rebrand those as Amazon Basics. And then by then, you're getting something totally different than what I was just talking to you about in this very video. So it is very hard to necessarily recommend this, but it can give you at least some faith in the brand to see that, well, Amazon is picking stuff that is good enough for basement prices. And I think that's kind of the big thing. You get these to start off with and think, I'm on Amazon, it's an Amazon Basics thing, is it good enough? And yeah, I think it is. While I might personally want to keep certain things over other things here, that's also a personal preference that's down to taste, and hopefully that competition was at least vaguely interesting to you as well. I'd also like it if you guys have used any Amazon Basics stuff, especially, like, you know, things like their tech and, like, their headphones and whatnot. Let me know what you think about it. I was actually planning to do a whole tech special until I didn't see enough things that I actually use all the time to make it worthwhile doing, so I stuck to just the headphones. But I thought, you know, I thought it was a interesting video, and hopefully you guys will, you know, share your experiences, what you think of the quality and the sound, and how that's gone for you as well. Yeah, as far as headphone videos, I know I did one previously where I was like, I don't know, at the end of it I was kind of like, I might be done with headphone videos for a while, and then this idea struck. So if you have any other ideas for headphones to check out, do let me know. And I will say that I have one more pair of headphones right now that I am actively looking at that I might get to review in the future. So if you're interested, let me know. I mean, it's not to say that you saying you are or are not interested will actually influence if I end up doing it or not, but it could. Because I have had no one request more headphone videos, and I'm still doing them, so, you know, rarely anyone requests any videos, and they end up happening anyway. But maybe you'll stick around to see it if you feel like it, and I think that's all I got. And I thought the shot was going to be better in my head, and then I tried to get the camera and lighting and me in the shot, and then we ended up looking like this. So, I guess, oh yeah, I forgot to do the Amazon Basics are basically good. I forgot to do that joke, but no one watches till the end of the video, right? So I should be okay. Can you even hear me from way up there? My camera feels very far away. I'm sure you can. I will now exit stage under the table. It's kind of like you see somebody put up all these dominoes, and you just can't help yourself. You just really want to. I really wanted to do that.